Hi everybody, this is Crystal. So today I'm going to show you how to make the hooded scarf with the pockets that you've seen me wearing there. So I am 5'3", in case you're interested on the height. You can easily adjust the length to any size that you'd like. So I know not everybody's going to like the fur. That's fine. You don't like the fur, you don't use it. I like the fur. I used to do videos with fur, but then people would make fun of them. So now I stopped doing the videos with fur. But now I don't care anymore. So I do them with fur, and if you don't like the fur, you leave it off. So it's done with the thicket stitch. It's very easy to do. It's just a 1 row repeat. And then it has the fur added in the pockets. So without the fur, width-wise, it measures 15 inches. With the fur, width-wise, it measures 19 inches. Length, so how as it wraps around me, without the fur is about 87 inches, and with the fur is about 91 inches. Now, if you're a lot taller than me, you will probably want to add some more inches on that. If you are a lot shorter than me, you might want to leave some off. Now, it is made in one big piece, and then the pockets are folded up to 10 inches on both sides. So you have to take that in account. If you watch the video, that will be in there. This is actually a dual pocket, which I actually kind of like. So it's quite a large pocket, as you can see, but it is actually 2 pockets in one. So you can put your hands in one. It's separated there. You can see it's been sewn, but the way it's been sewn, it's invisible, and you cannot see that it's been sewn. So you can put your hands in the front or the back pocket here, and then on the other side, keep whatever you want in it. Phone, money, or your wallet, or nothing, whatever you want to do with it. But it's like that on both sides. I actually like the dual pockets. I think it's pretty cool like that. But again, you don't have to do that if you don't want to. If you don't want to add the fur, you can add ribbing or whatever you want to do like that. You can leave the hood off if you want. Now, initially, I was not going to put this much fur on it, but you know what? I like fur, so I put a whole bunch on. If you do want to, like I said, the hood is fur. Leave it off if you want. The hood was actually an idea that another YouTuber left in my comment section, so I thought it was a good idea. And her name is Hook That Yarn. She has a YouTube channel. Her name's Crystal as well, just like me. So I'm going to leave a link to her channel below. She's got a lot of tutorials and a lot of nice videos. So I would definitely head on over there and check her out, because I think you might enjoy her and her tutorials. But yes, the hood was her idea. And since I did the hood, I just did it all in fur because I like it. Now, if you've seen the pictures, I think that it would look good as a wrap as well. Now, like thicker. So this is worked the width first, and then it goes to the length. So I'm going to give you the multiple to stitch. If you decide to do a wrap, you would want to make your chain longer than what I did. Okay, so let's go ahead and move this to the side. I think I told you all that information that you needed on that. So the yarn I used in this particular tutorial was Premier Puzzle Shimmer. It's a sparkly one. It's almost 100% acrylic with a little bit of polyester. Now, there's 246 yards per ball. To make it the size that I did, you're going to need around 850 yards. Now, this is classified as a bulky number 5. It is a thinner, bulky 5. So you'll need 850 yards of a thinner, bulky 5. Or I think a 4-weight yarn will work fine as well. But remember, I'm going to give you the multiple and the size, you know, it kind of goes by measurement, so it'll be easy to use any size yarn that you really wanted. Yeah, but 850 yards is what I use. The color of this one is called Crossword Shimmer. And the fur that you see there is Northland Fur Comfort. I got this at Hirschners.com online. The color is rabbit. Of course, it is fake fur. I believe there's 60 yards per ball, and it took 5 balls to do the hood and all the lining. I went around the entire piece and the pockets, and it took 5 balls. But if you don't want the fur, that's fine. You do it however you want. And then we're going to be using a size J, which is a 6 millimeter crochet hook. You want to go ahead and get started. If you are, I will mention that if you are wanting to make this like wider for a wrap, I'm going to tell you how many chains that I did for mine and everything. But if you want my recommendation, I always make my wraps around 24 inches in width. So, but that's, you know, it's completely up to you. But let's do this. All right, so this is the thicket stitch. Very nice stitch. Very useful for a lot of things. And it's done in the multiple of it is any even number of stitches. So for the size that I did, you want to start with a chain of 40. All right, I'm going to show you on a smaller scale, but 40 to get to the size measurements that I told you. In row 1, we're going to do a single crochet in the second stitch from the hook, so we do not count the one on our hook. There's 1 and 2, and then we're going to work across, and we're going to put a single crochet into every stitch of the chain. So row 1 is just 1 single crochet in every stitch until we make it to the end of our row. Alright, so I made it into row 1. Now row 2 is actually the repeat row for the entire stitch. So we're going to chain 1 and turn. That chain 1 does not count as a stitch, doesn't count as anything. So we're going to work right back into this very first stitch here. And in this stitch, we're going to work 1 single crochet and 1 double crochet into the same stitch. Just like that. Then we're going to skip 1 stitch, and in the next we're going to do the same. We're going to work 1 single crochet and 1 double crochet into the same stitch. And this is what we're going to repeat all the way down. So again, skip 1, single crochet and double crochet both into the next. Skip 1, single crochet and double crochet into the next. Skip 1 stitch, single crochet and double crochet into the next. And let's go ahead and repeat this pattern of skipping 1 and then single crochet, double into the next until we get to the last stitch of our row. Alright, so I've made it and I have 2 stitches left actually, so we're just going to skip 1 and we're going to put 1 single crochet into the last stitch. And that's it. That ends the repeat, and that's what we're going to keep doing. So for row 3, we're just going to repeat what we just did. We're going to chain 1 and turn our work. That chain 1 does not count as a stitch. So in this very first stitch, we go into it and we work a single crochet and a double crochet. We're going to skip 1 stitch, which is this double crochet here, and in the next stitch, which is the single crochet from the previous row, we're going to single crochet into it and double crochet. Skip 1, the next stitch, which is the single crochet from the previous row, we single crochet into it and double crochet. So we're just repeating row 2, and just remember that you skip 1, every stitch that you work in is always the single crochet from the previous row. It always gets a single and a double, except for the very last stitch. So I'm just repeating this until I get to the end of the row, skipping 1 and single crochet and double crochet both into the next. Okay, and again, when you get to the end, skip 1 stitch, excuse me, and single crochet into the last stitch. So you're just going to keep repeating that row 2, like we just repeated on row 3, until, if you want to do it my size, till you get till you reach approximately 87 inches long. Now remember, if you are taller, you can add more length to it. you try it on, you know. And if you are shorter, you can take away some of the length. If you watch the video further, it'll tell you how many inches we fold the pocket up, so you can adjust for that. All right, so once you get your piece, what we're going to do is fold up the bottom and make some pockets on each side. All right. So we want to get a tape measure, and we want to fold up about 10 inch piece here on each side. Let's see if I can get it to go. Hey, look at that. Almost a perfect fold on the first time, but it wasn't. All right, once you get it, there we go. About 10-inch fold there for your pocket. Now what you want to do is grab a yarn needle. A trusted yarn needle. And a piece of yarn. Same yarn that you worked with. And let's just sew it right up. Now, one thing you could do, actually, I might do that so my pockets don't turn out crooked, is put a couple stitch markers. Not really. I'm a couple pieces of yarn here. Make sure your pocket's lined up with the same row here. So kind of just look at this end. Here, put this out here a little bit. And kind of follow the row down to make sure it's lined up with the same row. And then I'm just going to take the corner here, and then the row that I have it the other end lined up with. And I'm just going to put a piece of yarn through those two pieces. That way it stays lined up while I'm sewing it together. I'm going to do the same thing. Did that even work? Alright, I'm going to do the same thing on the other end here. So I'm going to follow the same row here. This one right here. And, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect, but as best as you can, just kind of go in. That way, you kind of know that it's kind of straight across. There we go. That way, when I'm sewing, I don't lose my spot. Let me check again, make sure it's all... Yeah, looks good to me. It looks good to me. And make sure it's still 10 inches, too. It's 10 inches. All right, now we're going to sew it up. Take our yarn needle, piece of yarn, and, you know, since we're going to be putting fur on it, and a lot of fur, the sewing job that you do does not have to be perfect. So, but you do want to sew it. I'm going to put a little knot here. You do want to sew it, though, nice and tight. So I am going to use the back and forth method. Of course, if you're not using fur, by all means, you don't have to, remember. You just want to sew it neatly up. And with the back and forth method, or whatever method you choose to sew things. Everybody sews things differently. But I'm just going to go back and forth like this until I make it all the way to the top. And then I'm going to do the other side of this pocket. So just like this. But it's just important that you get it sewed pretty good, because you don't want things falling out the side. Well, I guess we're putting fur on it, so... Well, if you're not, you don't want things falling out the side, so... Just kind of make sure it's sewn up really well, and go all the way up to your stitch marker. If you want to go back down it again to make sure it's nice and secure, and that's fine too. So I'm going to continue this all the way up to here, and then hide my tail, and I'm going to come over here and do the same thing on this side. All right, so that is all sewn up. I know what you're thinking. That's a huge pocket. It is, it is. Let's split it in half and make 2 pockets. Let's do it. All right, so grab your tape measure again here. And let's find the center point. All right, I got 15 inches, so I'm going to split it at 7.5. So what I'm going to do is sew it up at the 7.5 mark. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with the stitch markers. Don't have to be perfect, but I'm going to put one right about here. I lost my stitch marker, so got to cut another one. Remember, it's just, you know, an estimate. And then I'm going to follow it down. and put one about the same spot at the bottom. Just to kind of, so you can kind of get a, you know, an idea of your marking spot. And I think I'll just, I don't know what's going on here. That's good. I think I'll do one in the middle, just so when I'm sewing I can kind of keep my spot. Just kind of try to keep them lined up the best you can. Your middle might be different than mine, but try to get it the yep. So I'm just gonna kind of, I don't know why I keep grabbing this with the needle. There. Put this through there. I'm just gonna say, there's my line. All right, I'm gonna try to follow it down the best I can. I don't know if it's perfect, but works for me. So we're gonna sew the pocket, and you don't have to do this if you don't want to. But now I'll have 2 pockets. All right, so I'm going to sew the same way, kind of. I'll just start right here in this stitch marker and try to, it's kind of, it's hard to record it from the side. Go neatly as possible and try to stay within the lines of the stitch markers if you can, back and forth. A little trick to where your yarn doesn't bleed through so you can't see it. When you go back under, kind of go under a piece of yarn and then go back through the bottom like that. I'm taking that marker out now. I don't need it anymore. All right, and then the same, kind of do the same on the back side. Let me zoom in a bit so you can see better. All right, so just kind of go under, and then when you go back up, look at where you're at. Try to keep it in line with your stitch marker here. Doing the best you can. And again, remember, it's not going to be perfect. Through, and then when we go back down, kind of go under the stitch and then back down, and then your yarn shouldn't bleed through the top of your pocket. And this is the same way I'm gonna work the other pocket. Now remember, we're putting a divider in this pocket, so there'll actually be 2 pockets here. One for your hand, one for your phone, maybe? One for your hand, one for whatever else you want. Back down. There we go. See, there's no bleed through of that gray yarn there. Awesome. All right, so I'm going to continue going, splitting this pocket, sewing it, trying to follow my line all the way up. And I'll meet back up with you when I get that finished. Here it is. Now we got 2 pockets. 2 pockets. One for your hand in, one for whatever you want to keep there. All right. So what we just did here, we're going to do the exact same on the other end. Make sure you get it. It'd be my luck. I'd flip it wrong. Do the pockets on opposite sides. Or the wrong way. But yes. Let me fold it so it's easier. Okay, yes. So, that's right? Yeah. I gotta make sure. I've done this before and then put one pocket on one side and folded the other pocket on the other way. Alright, there it is. Okay, so 10 inches up, or whatever many inches you did. I did 10. And sew up both sides, and then we sew up the center at your center point. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and do this side, and then we will attach the fur. All right, it's time for the fur. So I'm getting a 9mm hook, or it's an N. Sometimes the ends are 10 millimeters. Either one of those will work. Now I'm going to show you that fur can be super simple to add to your project, because it's extremely forgiving. If you make a mistake, you'll never be able to see it. And we're going to have to try to evenly space out double crochets all the way around this thing. But the good thing is they don't have to be evenly spaced, because you won't be able to see it. So just kind of start in a corner here and pull your yarn through like that, and chain one, and we're going to start off by double crocheting into that first spot. Might be a little difficult here around the pockets where we sewed, but probably not really that bad. Now we're just going to kind of evenly space the fur, or the fur stitches, double crochets, all the way up the side. And that, I can't tell where I'm putting it. I'm just sticking it through, because you can't see what I mean. It's just, that's why fur is so, it's some people find it hard to crochet, and I can understand that, but it's just so forgiving, it makes it easy. So I'm going to continue doing this all the way up my pocket, and then all the way up the side, all the way, all the way, all the way, until I get down to the end of my other pocket. Just doing my best to evenly space out the single or double crochets. And remember, it does not have to be perfect, because you're not going to be able to see, because that fur is there. Just like that. All right, I'll meet back up with you at the end of the pocket on the other side. All right, so I went all the way down, and I'm at the corner of my other pocket. So like right here, just kind of go somewhere in that corner stitch, and let's put 3 double crochets in that corner, you know, just around the corner out like that. And then we'll just work across the bottom, doing the best we can to evenly space out double crochets. Now remember, we're just kind of digging this fur into the stitches, because like I said, just dig it in. You're not going to be able to see that. Dig it on in there. See? I think it looks nice. And I'm going to do this all the way across the bottom. And then when I get to my next corner of the pocket, I'm going to put 3 double crochets. I'm sorry, if at any point with this fur I've said single crochet, I mean double. We're doing doubles with the fur. I'm going to just evenly space out these doubles until I get to the next corner. And in the next corner, we'll put 3 doubles into that one. And then we'll start working up the other side. And we're going to do this until we get back to our starting point. And we will have made one complete revolution of fur all the way around the entire piece. Remember, 3 into this corner, and then all the way up, all the way back up, all the way up, and then 3 in this pocket corner down here, all the way across to where we started. And that's where I'll meet back up with you. Alright, so I have made it back to my starting point, and I got like 1 stitch left here. I'm going to put 3 stitches in that corner there. 1, 2, and there's 3. Now I'm going to go around again with another round of double crochet. I'm going to use a stitch marker here though. Now this is the part that I think it's trouble. It causes a little trouble when it comes to fur. But we're going to not have any trouble because we're going to do it differently. So go ahead and put a stitch marker here. Now, we're not going to go into the top. So when it comes to fur, you know, a lot of people try to find the top of, like, search around and try to find the top of the double crochet to go into it. We're not going to do that. What we're going to do, make it easy, we're just going to double crochet in between the double crochets. So right here. So there's a double crochet here, and there's one here. We're just gonna, we got our stitch marker here. We're gonna yarn over and go right in between them. So we're not going into the top of the stitch. All right, we're going right in between the stitches. Again, let's see, we went into that one, jump to your next one, right here, right in between the stitches, and double crochet. That way we don't have to try to figure out. It's just so much easier this way, going in between them. Because searching for the top of a stitch with fur is very hard. It's just easier to go right in between them. Like that. And this is what I'm going to do all the way around. Well, until I get to my corner. And that's where I'll meet back up with you. So right in between the next two, double crochet. Right in between the next two. You can find it very easy with your finger. It's just the hole right in between the two double crochets. Remember, we're not going into the top of the stitch, we're going in between the double crochets. And since we're using fur, it's super forgiving and no one's going to even be able to tell that we did that. I'm going to do this all the way down, and I'll meet you down there at the bottom at the corner. Ah, it's looking cool. Alright, so I've made it to the corner down here with my fur. And remember, we put 3 stitches in the corner. 3. So what we're going to do to round the corners on this time around, the space in between those 3 stitches there, we're going to put 2 double crochets in each of those spaces. So there's 1 and 2 into that space, and then you find your next space that in between the double crochets that you rounded the corner, 2 double crochets into that space. And then you go in between and the next 2, just use your fingers to feel right there, and 2 into that space. So that's how we're going to round the corners this time around for the fur, is the 3 double crochets that we put in each of the corners. We're just going to put 2 in between each of the spaces. And then we'll continue putting 1 double crochet in between these spaces of the double crochets until we get to the next corner, and we'll do the same thing there. We're going to do that all the way around until we make it back to our starting point. I think it's looking pretty cool. That rounded that corner nicely, didn't it? Alright, so I'm just going to continue. Remember, when you get to the next corner, those 3 double crochets with the fur that we did, put 2 in between the spaces of the first 2, 2 in between the spaces of the next 2, and 2 in between the spaces of the last ones. Alright, and then continue again with the 1 double crochet in between each of the spaces. I'm going to do that on every corner, and I'll meet back up with you at the beginning. Alright, and if you're curious, I thought I'd show this, how I add a new ball of fur. I just take here's where I stopped, right here. And I knew I needed to add another ball, so I have a new ball here. I just take them and tie a knot into the 2 and just crochet it in. You won't even be able to see those knots if you can, and you might have to clip off a little bit of this if it's too long. We'll check it out here. Crochet it in. There you go. You can't even see it, see? But if it happens to hang off too much, just snip it down even with the rest. Your little tails from your knot, snip it down even with the rest of your fur. And that's how I attach a new ball. Just a little knot. And look at that. Can't even see where it was attached. Alright, I'm going to continue around. Alright, I'm coming around to my starting point because here's where my slip stitch is, and this is the corner that we did 3 double crochets in before. 1, 2, 3. Alright, so we want to put 2 in between, 2 double crochets in between each of those stitches of the corner. And if you, I'm not going to go around again after this. I'm going to got one more right here. Now to end this fur, if you want to go around again, you can move your stitch marker up and go around again. I'm just going to do the 2 rows. Now to end this, I'm going to move that stitch marker. And what I am going to do is I'm going to find this space here. Here is the stitch marker, and here's the space right here. Stitch marker was here. Here's the space of my next, in between my next double crochet. I'm just going to kind of like slip stitch into it, pull fur up a bit, and then we'll clip it off. Okay, and then we clip that. And to hide this, you just take your hook and just pull it. Well, this is what I do. Back and through the stitches like this. The tail. You know, a few times back and forth each way. Like I said, this fur is so forgiving. You'll never see that tail. So just do that a few times. Like I said, you can go back the opposite direction to lock it into place. And then you would just go back a couple times. Just to make sure we don't want anything coming undone. So I'm just sticking my hook in anywhere and just pulling it through. One more time. There we go. Now I'll clip that off. Alright, so we went around it all with fur. It looks really good. One more thing I'm going to do though is align the pockets with fur. So let me get this. I got this limited space. My desk is small, plus it's so cluttered because I'm so messy. But I'm going to line the pockets here with fur in the same manner that we did everything else. So what I'm going to do is just start kind of in the corner here, pull it up, chain 1. I'm going to go back into that same spot and a double crochet. Now you don't have to hit every stitch at the top with this fur. Just kind of evenly space them out, maybe every other stitch, every 2 stitches, something like that. It does not have to be even, and you definitely don't want to go into every stitch, otherwise it'll be kind of wavy. If your fur gets wavy, that means you got too many stitches. So every 2 or 3 stitches, I think, just kind of do a double crochet right across the top here of the pocket. That is if you want to. It's your pocket shawl. You do as you'd like. But I'm going to go all the way across the top of the pocket, and I'll meet back up with you here at the other end. Alright, so when you make it into across your pocket, now if I'm only going to do 1 row on the pocket. You can do another one if you want, but I think 1's enough. But on the last stitch, instead of putting a double crochet into it, I'm just going to go in and put a single crochet like that. And I'm going to tie it off, and I'm going to hide the tail the same way, just weaving it in and out of these stitches. And then I'm going to align the other side of the pocket the same way. Remember, you can do 2 rows across the top if you want, like we did around it, but I'm just going to do the 1. All right, so I'm going to do my other pocket the same way. All right, so let's add a hood. Might as well go all out, right? If you don't want to, though, you do not have to do this part. I'm adding the fur hood. So what I'm going to do is you're going to need a couple of stitch markers. Take my tape measure and measure from the edge of the fur lining on your pocket. You're right here. So the top edge of it. Measure it down to about 14 inches or so. Let's see where we're at. Yeah. And then what you do is find your 14-inch mark and feel around for some double crochet in between the double crochets at approximately that 14-inch marker and put a stitch marker. And then we're going to do the same on the other side. Take me to Funky Town. All right, so grab yourself another marker. This is just so we can get an idea, so we don't lose spot, because you know the fur, like I said, sometimes it's hard to see, but we make it as easy as possible. At the top of your fur lining of your pocket here, 14 inches. Same on both sides. Both sides the same. And then here's my 14 inch, so I'm just going to take my finger up to the second row of fur that we did, and in between the two double crochets that kind of lines up at that 14 inches. I'm going to put a marker there as well, and those markers are going to mark off our hood. A hood. All right, let's move that out of the way. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you start from the what side you start from, because the fur looks the same on both sides. So I'm just going to start here, and I'm going to start in this. We're working in between the double crochets again. I'm going to start right here where this first stitch marker is and pull my yarn through. I'm going to chain one and double crochet back into that in between those two stitches. And now I'm going to double crochet in between every stitch until I get to my next stitch marker. See that? So all the way across, putting one double crochet in between the double crochets. And I'll meet back up with you when we get to the stitch marker at the end. We're basically just going to be doing rows of double crochet until we get it around 12 inches tall. Remember, we're going through the double crochets. We're not working into the top of it. It's so much easier that way, and you can't even tell. All right, I'm going to move this stitch marker here, get it out of the way because I don't need it anymore. All right, leave your tail back there so you can tie it in later, and I will meet back up with you over here at this stitch marker. Okay, so I have made it over here to the stitch with my other stitch marker, well, in between the two double crochets. So I'm going to double crochet into that, and then I'm going to go ahead and remove that stitch marker so it doesn't get tangled up in the yarn and I forget about it, although you'd probably never see it if it got tangled up in this yarn. Now for this hood, what we're going to do is chain one, and we have to turn our work. So my piece is so big. Give me 1 second here to give it a turn. Sorry about my dog barking. That's my little one. All right, so now I'm on the back side. Now what we have to do is we chained one and turned, and we need to put a double crochet back into that same space that we put the last double crochet in. So you see it's right here. This is where we put the last double crochet in, and then we chained one and turned. So we're going to double crochet back into that space like that, and then we're going to work across, putting 1 double crochet in between every space of the double crochets until we get back over to the other side. Oops, that was a half double. We don't want that. Until we get back over to the other side where we started the hood. So I'll meet you up over there. Alright, so I made it back over here to where we started. And since we're working, I went ahead and put a double crochet into the chain space. And this was our first double crochet. Now, since we're working in the chain spaces, if we continue to do that, the hood will go at an angle. So what we're going to do is we're going to put 2 double crochets into the last chain space. Like that. Alright, and then again, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. Okay, and then we're going to start out by putting 1 double crochet right back here into this in between these very first 2 stitches. So we're going to continue putting our 1 double in between every stitch across. But from now on, this right here is the repeat row. We're going to be putting, every time we get to the end of the row, we will be putting 2 double crochets into the last chain space. That way it doesn't start to go cockeyed on us. Hopefully that will keep it straight since we're working in between the spaces and not on top of it, of the stitch. Oops, I didn't mean to put 2 in that one. Alright. So one more time, I'll meet back up with you when we get to the end of this row. Alright, so I've made it here to the end of the row, and this is my last, in between my last 2 stitches. So we're going to put 2 double crochets into that spot to hopefully keep our sides lined up. Now remember, we're doing that because we're working in between the doubles and not on top of them. So again, we're just going to repeat that row. We will chain 1 and turn our work, and we just start out by putting 1 double crochet back into the same stitch and 1 in between all the stitches until you get to the end of the row, and you put 2 in between the last stitch. Alright, so I'm going to continue this. Like we've been doing. Remember, we start out with 1, but when we get to the end of the row, where they're at the last spot between the last 2 double crochets, we put 2 in there. Alright, always at the end we put 2, but at the beginning we just put 1 in between that first space. One thing that I want to mention you can do, if you would prefer a collar over a hood, I think that you do it the same way that we've been doing, and then you would want to stop once your hood piece. Now we don't count these 2 rows here. Start from where we started the hood piece and measure up. You want to stop about 6 inches like this, and then you'd have a nice collar instead of a hood, but that's completely up to you. I'm going to continue going to make a hood, so I'm going to go until my piece reaches, let's see, from the starting row of the hood, remember, not these 2 rows, 12 inches probably. Yeah. And then we'll 11 or 12. I'll let you know here in just a second. And then we'll sew up that hood. But remember, the collar looks cool too. Let me kind of get you, just turn it around to kind of show you what it looks like. I think that the collar looks nice as well. Or like I said, you can leave it plain, nothing on it, but this is what the collar kind of looks like. A bit like that. It's not like it just kind of folds over like that. I guess you can see it better when it's not in person, but it's like kind of like that. There we go. Something like that. So that is your just another option that you can do if you want to. But I'm going to continue with the hood. Okay, so for my hood section, I'm going to measure here. Remember, we don't measure the 2 rows along the border. We just measure from where we started the hood. And I did 13 inches. All right. And then once you get that done, you want to tie off and leave a long tail. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to put the tops together like this. Put the top of the hood. So this big flat panel here, take this corner and this corner, and make sure actually first that it's the pockets are facing the front side. So yes, my pocket is here, so that will be the front of my hood. And then all we're going to do is sew this up, and we're going to use the same method that we kind of hide tails, I guess. Or you could actually slip stitch it if you wanted. But yeah, maybe I'll do that. I'm just going to go through. No, I'm just going to sew it the same way we do. I'm going to go back and forth the top here and get it all sewn up. I'll probably go across the top maybe twice, back and forth on these stitches like this to get it all sewed up good, because you don't want the top of your hood kind of undone. I'm grabbing a piece on this side and then in between a stitch on this side, kind of pulling it through, and then again the next piece over here in between the next, and then in between the next stitch over here, and pull it through the tail. I know it looks like I'm struggling. I'm not. It's just I'm trying to show you at a good camera angle, and that's what's hard. There we go. And we're just going to do that all the way across so we get to the end, and then I think I'll go back. If you feel like it's sturdy enough, you don't have to go back again. I might go back again. It's completely up to you. If you feel like it's sewn up good enough, then you can just leave it. Otherwise, you can go back across and with your tail if you left it long enough. And I'm sorry, I'm just at a hard angle here trying to record it and do it at the same time. Alright, so I'm going to go all the way across and get this done real quick. Alright, once you're finished, that is it. That's it. It's done. I think it turned out pretty cool. Do you guys? I think it did. I mean, I'm going to keep it, so I'm going to wear it. But I like all the fur. But I hope that you guys enjoy my tutorial. And if you make this, remember you can always show me a picture on my Bagoday crochet Facebook page. A link to that below in the description box. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of my tutorials. Check the link below. I have so many, well over 1,000. They're all free, all there for you to enjoy. Hit that like button. Leave me a comment below, and don't forget to check out Crystal from Hook That Yarn. Okay, link to her channel below. Bye, everybody.